He knocked me over. I landed on the dog bowl.
This One's Wife. Netflix gives her season 2. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. Yes, just when you thought it was safe to go back into the kitchen, the Duchess of Industrial Beige goes racing to Instagram to tell the world that season 2 of With Love, Meghan will be assailing your eyeballs in the future. As ever, this narcissist has to rush to Instagram, yes, another Instagram story posted by this One's Wife to boast of this development. Here's that little piece of footage for you to try and endure. You can smell the smugness, can't you? Richter's grin in place, as this charlatan with her "Let us remain calm" baseball cap, so corny, does her little happy dance, fists clenched, as she shows off about the fact that apparently there's a second season. The caption reads, "Let us remain calm or not!" Because I'm thrilled to share that season 2 of With Love, Meghan is coming. Thus, for this narcissist, she will be reveling in sharing this news. It will delight her to tell you all that there is more of her cookery show. Because in her deluded mind, in the bubble of fantasy that she occupies, her show is a huge success. Even though it popped into the top 10, probably as a consequence of hate watching, it's soon fallen out of there. A successful show should be number 1 or 2 for weeks on end. It's dropped out of the top 10 within days. I should imagine that this news infuriates many of you who can't stand this One's Wife. But what it actually is yet more chicanery and smoke and mirrors of this One's Wife. Ordinarily, when a show has been filmed, there's the publicity, and as I've explained to you beforehand, there has not really been much publicity at all, particularly from Netflix in relation to this show. Then, the show is aired, and dependent upon the reaction to it, it may well be renewed for a second season, or series, which then has to be filmed. So there's usually a delay of maybe 6 months, more commonly a year, sometimes even longer. For instance, look at the time period in between the 2 series of Severance, an excellent program which I recommend to you. The fact is, to state that season 2 is already coming, and I understand from newspaper reports that it's already been filmed, tells us there isn't really a season 2, it's part 2 of season 1. And once again, this fraudster is trying to make it seem like she's been granted a season 2. What I understand will likely to have occurred is that they have filmed several episodes, probably looking for them to be at around about 45 to 50 minutes in length. And taking into account throwing some adverts, it makes it an hour-long show. They've then realised that it doesn't really hang together that well, and they cut it back down to 33 minutes. And that's meant that there's a lot of extra material that's available. And therefore what they've done is they've decided we'll put out 8 episodes now, and we've also got another 6 or 8 which we can use later. And we'll call it season 2, but it isn't really, because it was all filmed as part of season 1. It's just a delayed output. So it isn't the case that Netflix have thought, do you know what? Even though the show itself is absolute shite, it's completely gash, we'll give it another season. They haven't. What they've done is they've organised that for certain of the episodes would go out, the first 8, and save the balance for later. It isn't a case of film it, see what the reaction is, and then decide to renew. These episodes were already done as part of season 1. Indeed, I suspect that it's also been delayed because this fuckwit, who couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery, had nothing to actually sell to coincide with the launch. Remember, it was originally meant to be back in January. And therefore, because it's going to take time to put the logistics in place and sort out the stores, you'll also remember that the 2 stores for Netflix are stated not to be able to sell the products until autumn, the fall. And therefore, what's quite clearly the case is that they've decided, right, we'll launch the first 8 episodes and then we'll save the rest. And so long as there's been a reasonable number of views, what we'll do is we'll launch the rest as a part 2 of season 1, and that will then coincide with the product actually being available. This one's wife, of course, wants to make it look like she's uber successful and that she's got a season 2. She hasn't. This is just a continuation of what's already been done, but naturally, as is always the case with this woman, there is a spin to it, so she tries to portray it as a renewal. It isn't. As I understand it, the Netflix contract doesn't expire until September anyway, so all of this is just part of the existing deal. She hasn't been given a fresh deal. She hasn't been given an extension. But naturally, this one's wife wants to distract from the failure of season 1, or season 1 part 1, perhaps more accurately, by announcing what she refers to as a season 2, but we'll call part 2 of season 1. It really does demonstrate that the show's an utter crock of shite, that within a matter of 3 days of its launch, you're having to distract from its clusterfuck catastrophe by referencing more episodes. You also have to wonder who the fuck is going to be appearing in those episodes. After the low caliber nature of the guest that she's had already, who's it going to be? Second cousin twice removed of the makeup man? The mind boggles. One wonders as well whether those guests, having seen the laughter and ridicule that has accompanied the first set of episodes, they'll be saying, please don't launch the episode that I'm in. I can't stand to be ridiculed like everybody else has. Please, is there any way I can get out of it? It might also be the case that we'll see some footage in relation to the LA wildfires. What is clear is that this has probably been the intention all along, that they would have 2 sets of episodes, and what they've decided to do is see how the initial reaction was. And of course, it's been covered and talked about, and there's been plenty of chatter about it, because this is always the case with this one's wife. People scrutinise what she does for good or bad. And as I have explained before, for all of you that are sick and tired of her, the only way she's going to go away is if you stop talking about her, if you stop reading the articles about her, if you stop clicking. Because so long as you keep doing that, the mainstream media will keep writing and reporting on her, because they know that it will get people's eyeballs on their work and they can sell advertising space. It isn't the case that they report on her and hope that people look at what she's doing. They know that people will look. For instance, the Daily Mail announcement in respect of this season 2, or more accurately, season 1 part 2, has already garnered 1,200 comments. So long as people retain an interest in her, they'll keep reporting, which means, although there's a downward spiral, and as I've explained before, there's not going to be any massive exposure for her, but rather it's death by 1,000 cuts. But you can hasten that by not reading the articles, by not entering the below-the-line chats, etc. However, at the end of the day, if you wish to continue to enjoy snarking about her, that's a matter for you, and you're perfectly entitled to make your choice. But let us be under no illusion here. This isn't a proper season 2. For it already to be announced and already having been filmed, it's just extra episodes that came from when they created season 1. But this one's wife wants to portray it as a major success on her part. She wants to demonstrate that she is the one that is doing so well. And remember, in her deluded mind, portraying it as a season 2, she will want to make it look like it's a renewal, to try and nullify the threat to control caused by all of the criticism that has come her way. The wholesale lambasting of this absolute clusterfuck of a show. And thus, smug, rictus grin in place, she goes running and racing to Instagram to share this news. It isn't really news. This was the intention all along. that it was going to be done in 2 parts, but she wants to portray it as a major success because, as with everything that she does, it's all an artifice. It's manufactured. It's exaggeration and embellishment, the typical behaviours of the narcissist. What are your thoughts on all of this? Do you agree with me with regard to my analysis of how it's actually panned out, that it isn't really a renewal, it's simply a divvying up of the episodes in 2 chunks, given the fact that it's already been filmed? How do you feel about the fact that there's going to be more episodes? Are you laughing your tits off? Are you groaning? Are you just wishing that she would disappear? Are you annoyed? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.